Jungkook didn't wait this time. The DNA report was still in his coat pocket. The paper felt heavy, like it carried 6 years of lies. He stood outside Taehyung's apartment building. Old walls, flickering hallway lights. This was where Taehyung had been living all this time. Jungkook's chest tightened. He knocked once, twice. The door opened slowly. Taehyung stood there, wearing a loose sweater, hair messy. The moment his eyes met Jungkook's, his face went pale. You shouldn't be here. Jungkook stepped forward anyway. You lied to me. Taehyung's shoulders stiffened. I told you to stay away. Jungkook pulled the folded report from his pocket and threw it onto the small table inside. 99.98%. Taehyung didn't need to look. He already knew what it was. His breathing became uneven. Jungkook's voice cracked with anger. He's my son. The words filled the small apartment. Taehyung's head snapped up. For a second, something fragile appeared in his eyes. Then, in slap, the sound echoed sharply through the room. Jungkook's head turned slightly from the force. Silence followed. Taehyung's hand trembled in the air. His entire body was shaking now. You idiot! Taehyung shouted, voice breaking. Jungkook slowly looked back at him. What did you just? You'll die if you stay near us. The words exploded out of Taehyung like a scream. Jungkook froze. Taehyung grabbed Jungkook's collar desperately. His eyes were wild with fear. You don't understand, he whispered. You never understood. Jungkook stared at him. Then explain. Taehyung's lips parted. For a moment, for a single fragile moment, it looked like everything would finally come out. The truth, the secret, the reason. But then Taehyung closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the walls were back. His voice dropped to a quiet plea. Please stop looking into things. Jungkook's brow furrowed. Why? Taehyung looked away. Because the more you investigate, his voice trembled, the closer you get to danger. The next afternoon, Jungkook couldn't stop thinking about Taehyung's words. Danger, die, stay away. None of it made sense. So he did what he always did when things didn't make sense. He watched. Jungkook parked his car near Minseo's elementary school. Children ran through the gates laughing as the final bell rang. Parents waited along the sidewalk. Jungkook leaned against his car, pretending to check his phone. Then he saw Minseo. The boy walked slowly toward the gate, holding his small backpack, looking around like he was searching for someone, probably Taehyung. Jungkook stepped forward slightly, but something felt wrong. Two unfamiliar men stood near the corner, watching. Their attention wasn't on the school. It was on Minseo. Jungkook's instincts screamed. One of the men started walking toward the boy. Hey, the man said casually. Your dad sent us. Minseo frowned. My dad? Yeah, come with us. The second man opened the back door of a black van. Minseo hesitated. Jungkook moved instantly. He stepped between them and the boy. Back away. The first man looked irritated. This doesn't concern you. Jungkook's voice dropped to something dangerous. It does. The man reached for Minseo's arm. Jungkook grabbed his wrist first. Heard. The second man pulled something from his jacket. Jungkook moved faster. Years of training took over. One punch. Then another. The man collapsed. The first one stumbled backward, grabbing his phone. Abort, he said urgently. Jungkook froze when he heard the next words. The man spoke into the phone. Chairman, we failed. Silence. Then the man hung up. Jungkook's blood ran cold. Chairman, the men ran before Jungkook could stop them. Minseo rushed toward him immediately. Mister, Jungkook knelt quickly. Are you okay? Minseo nodded. Yes, but his small hands were shaking. Jungkook's chest tightened. Someone had just tried to kidnap his son. His son? Jungkook stood slowly. His mind replayed the word again. Chairman. Minseo was asleep in the next room. The faint glow of the night lamp spilled across the hallway. Taehyung barely had time to react before Jungkook grabbed his arm and pulled him outside. Who is Chairman Seo? The question came out like a gunshot. Taehyung froze. The color drained from his face instantly. Taehyung whispered urgently, Jungkook, lower your voice. Jungkook didn't move. His hands were shaking with anger. Men tried to kidnap Minseo today. Taehyung's eyes widened. What? At his school. The words hit like a hammer. Taehyung staggered back. His breathing became uneven. Jungkook stepped closer. I heard them call someone. His voice dropped dangerously. Chairman, Taehyung's knees nearly gave out. Jungkook grabbed his shoulders. Start talking. Taehyung, you need to leave. Jungkook slammed his fist against the wall beside him. Stop protecting him. Taehyung flinched. Jungkook's voice broke with rage. For 6 years you destroyed us. Taehyung shook his head quickly. No. His hand tightened around Taehyung's arm. Tell me the truth. Silence stretched between them. Heavy. Painful. Then Jungkook whispered something that broke the last wall. Minseo is my son. Taehyung's lips trembled. And someone just tried to take him. That was it. Taehyung collapsed into the chair behind him. And for the first time in the entire story, he cried. He cried like someone whose soul had been breaking for years. Jungkook froze. He had never seen Taehyung cry like that. Taehyung covered his face. His voice came out broken. He wanted you. Jungkook frowned. What? Taehyung looked up slowly. Red eyes. Shaking hands. Not the child. His voice cracked. You. Taehyung sank into the chair behind him, breathing unevenly. 5 years ago, he said quietly, you had that business conference in Busan. Jungkook nodded slowly. Yes, that's where you met him. Taehyung's fingers curled tightly together. Chairman CEO. Jungkook remembered him now. Sharp suit, cold smile, the kind of man who looked like he owned the entire room. Taehyung continued. He noticed you immediately. Jungkook frowned. Not as a business partner. Taehyung's voice trembled. As something he wanted. The realization hit Jungkook slowly. You mean he became obsessed with you? Jungkook's stomach twisted. Taehyung continued quietly. You rejected him? Of course I did. Jungkook's voice was sharp. I told him I loved my husband. Taehyung nodded. That's when everything started. Taehyung wiped his face, trying to steady himself. He started sending messages. Threats. Jungkook's jaw tightened. What kind of threats? Taehyung's voice was barely audible. He said if he couldn't have you, he would destroy you. Jungkook's fists clenched. Taehyung continued. Then I got pregnant. Silence fell. Taehyung's eyes filled again. He found out. Jungkook's chest tightened, and he realized something. Taehyung whispered, the baby could become leverage. Jungkook felt cold. He started contacting me directly. Taehyung's hands trembled as the memories returned. He said, "If I didn't leave you," his voice cracked, "he would kill the baby." Jungkook felt like the ground shifted under him. Taehyung continued through tears. "He also threatened to destroy your career, your company, your reputation. And then he showed me something." Taehyung looked up slowly. Fear still lived in his eyes. "He staged an accident." Jungkook froze. "What?" Taehyung's voice dropped to a whisper. "You remember that car crash you had 6 years ago?" Jungkook's stomach dropped. "The one where the truck hit my car?" Taehyung nodded. "That wasn't an accident." Silence swallowed the room. Taehyung whispered, "He did it." Jungkook felt sick. Taehyung's voice trembled. "That was his warning." Tears rolled down Taehyung's face again. "I had two choices." His voice was hollow. "Stay with you and watch him destroy everything," Jungkook whispered hoarsely, "or leave." Taehyung nodded. "I needed him to believe I wasn't important anymore." His voice cracked again. "So I did the only thing I could."
Taehyung looked directly at him. "I told you the baby wasn't yours." Jungkook's chest tightened. "I blocked you. I disappeared. I made myself the villain." His voice broke completely. "All to keep you safe." Silence filled the apartment. 6 years of pain suddenly had a shape, a reason. Jungkook whispered softly, "You should have told me." Taehyung laughed weakly through tears. "If you knew," he looked toward Min Seo's bedroom, "you would have fought him." Jungkook didn't deny it. Taehyung nodded. "And he would have killed you." The room fell quiet again. The truth had finally been spoken. The apartment had fallen into a painful silence. Taehyung sat on the chair, his shoulders still shaking from crying. Jungkook stood a few steps away, staring at him. 6 years. 6 years of anger. 6 years of believing he had been betrayed. And now the truth sat between them like broken glass. Jungkook ran a hand through his hair. His voice was no longer angry. It was tired, broken. "Why?" Taehyung didn't look up. Jungkook stepped closer. His voice trembled. "Why wasn't I worth trusting?" Taehyung's breath hitched. Jungkook continued, his words spilling out after years of pain. "You decided everything alone. You decided I would hate you. You decided I would lose my family." His voice cracked. "You decided for me." Taehyung's hands tightened on his knees. Tears fell silently again. Jungkook's voice dropped to a whisper. "Was I that weak?" Taehyung shook his head quickly. "No." But that was all he said. Jungkook waited. The silence stretched. Heavy. Taehyung wiped his face but didn't answer the question, because the truth was harder than anything else. If Jungkook had known, he would have fought. He would have refused to leave. He would have challenged Chairman Seo directly, and that would have gotten him killed. Taehyung whispered softly, almost to himself, "You were never weak." Jungkook's chest tightened. "Then why?" Taehyung looked up finally. His eyes were red and swollen. "But there was something deeper there. You were the only reason I survived." Jungkook froze. Taehyung continued quietly, "If something happened to you," his voice broke again, "I wouldn't have survived it." Silence filled the room again. Jungkook understood. Taehyung hadn't left because he didn't trust him. He left because he loved him too much. After hearing the truth, Jungkook didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. Taehyung and Minseo were finally asleep in the small apartment, but Jungkook sat alone on the balcony. The city lights flickered below. His mind was calm now, dangerously calm. For 6 years Taehyung had been running, hiding, sacrificing everything. Now it was Jungkook's turn. He whispered quietly to himself, Chairman So. The name tasted bitter. If that man thought Jungkook would stay quiet, he was wrong, very wrong. The next morning, Jungkook returned to his company headquarters. The massive glass building buzzed with activity as the CEO walked in. His secretary followed him nervously. Sir, you asked for the legal team? Jungkook nodded. And the media department. Also forensic accountants. She blinked. All of them? Jungkook's voice was cold. Today we destroy someone. Over the next few days, Jungkook began using everything he had. Business leverage. He quietly pressured companies tied to Chairman Seo. Contracts disappeared overnight. Investors started backing away. Jungkook hired investigators who dug into years of financial records. Illegal shell companies, money laundering, tax fraud. Every dark secret began surfacing. Chairman Seo realized it too late. His empire was starting to crack. Investigations opened. Investors pulling out. Inside his office, he slammed a glass against the wall. Jungkook. His voice was filled with fury. If he wants war, he turned to his men. Bring me the boy. That afternoon, Taehyung arrived at Minseo's school. But something felt wrong immediately. Police were talking near the gate. Taehyung's heart dropped. He ran inside. Where is Minseo? The teacher looked pale. Someone came earlier. Taehyung's breathing stopped. They said they were family. The world went silent. Taehyung's phone fell from his hand. Jungkook received the call 10 minutes later. His face went white. They took him. Night fell over the city. Inside an abandoned warehouse, Minseo sat tied to a chair, terrified. Chairman Seo stood nearby calmly. When Jungkook arrived, his men surrounded him instantly. Taehyung was already there, held tightly by 2 guards. His face was bruised. Jungkook. Jungkook's heart nearly stopped. Chairman Seo smiled. So we finally meet again. Jungkook's voice was ice. Let them go. Chairman Seo laughed. You've caused me a lot of trouble. He gestured between them. I'll make it simple. He pointed a gun. First at Taehyung, then at Minseo. You choose. The words echoed in the warehouse. Your lover. The gun moved slightly. Or your child. Taehyung shouted immediately. Don't. Jungkook didn't hesitate. He ran straight toward Minseo. Chairman Seo smirked. Until suddenly police sirens exploded outside. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Officers rushed in. Drop your weapons. Chairman Seo's smile disappeared. Jungkook had planned everything. The police raid. Within seconds, the guards were arrested. Chairman Seo struggled as officers pinned him down. You think "This ends me," he shouted. Jungkook stood in front of him calmly. "It already did." Police dragged Chairman Seo away. His empire had collapsed. And now, so had he. The hospital room was quiet. Soft beeping from medical monitors filled the air. Min Seo slept peacefully in the hospital bed, a small bandage wrapped around his arm. Taehyung sat beside Jungkook silently, both exhausted. For a long time neither of them spoke. Then Jungkook finally whispered, "You should have trusted me." Taehyung looked down at his hands. His voice was soft. "I'm sorry." He swallowed hard. "I was just afraid he would harm you." Jungkook stared at him for a moment, then slowly leaned forward and kissed Taehyung's forehead. A gentle kiss, the kind that carried years of pain and forgiveness. Taehyung closed his eyes. For the first time in 6 years, he felt safe. Jungkook took his hand, and this time he stayed